Hi guys, so Nano begins on Friday. I think, I need to check now. Is it Friday? Please tell me it's Friday. Actually, I would prefer if it were Saturday. Where's my calendar? 26th. Yep, Friday. And I don't know about you guys, but I've found that this whole month has gone by really quickly. Anyway, so I wanted to do a bit of a writing vlog video. That's essentially what the videos are going to be from now until the end of Nano. They're all going to be like writing vlog videos, so I can kind of work with my writing, well, whatever schedule I end up pushing out this month. And I can still get some content done, not like completely like bail out. If you guys want more information about my Nano project for 2019, I'll link my blog below. This week I have a blog post coming out that talks a little bit about like the story I'm working on and the journey I kind of took to get there, because it was pretty much a prep video. So I want to tell you guys how I prepped, the kind of information I came up with, going into the story and all that. And if I look down randomly, it's because I have all the notes on my phone and my phone keeps going to sleep and it's really annoying. So I'm a planster. As far as I'm aware, that's what I am right now. I have to plan enough, but I don't have to plan everything. And right now, as much as I'd prefer to plan everything, I'm not the kind of person that can like turn around and then suddenly like I know everything. Like, that's not how I work. So I figured out the motivation for the 6 known major players in my story, and with that motivation I was able to come up with a small kind of like set of goals for everyone. I'm still discovering stuff about my characters, figuring out how I can make them complex, figuring out what kind of stuff that they can go into, what they're trying to do with their lives, and it's great. So the one thing I would suggest when it comes to finding motivation is thinking about the lessons you want to teach your characters, and using that as a basis to come up with the issues, like just as a basis. Like, you don't even have to go into it too in depth. Just use it as a foundation, and if you want to find something that's different, then it's different. So the second thing I did was I came up with a basic understanding of all of the main characters, 6 main characters' backstories, but not in great detail. So I came up with an idea as to where the characters had come from, and so that I could determine where the characters were also going. So one character, I ended up exploring her dad a little bit and how came into possession of her, because she's not technically his child, I guess. That spoils things, but doesn't spoil things. But I ended up exploring a little bit in relation to how she came into his possession. So that's kind of a little bit of her backstory, though she doesn't realize it until the story. So that's it. For there are 2 other main characters whom the story focuses on, though it's not told from their perspective. And I came up with a very brief idea as to what kind of background they had, though I haven't determined entirely how they got from there to where they are now, though I have a small inkling of an idea. But I was able to take that backstory a little bit and kind of add some things that I want to teach both of the characters, some things that they're currently working through. Like, here's one example. One of my characters has to learn how to forgive. The other character, she has to learn how to take control of her own life and not allow other people to dictate what she should and shouldn't be doing. So another thing that I did was I planned how the book was going to end, so how the big problem was going to get solved, the epilogue ending, so the ending after the big problem, and then the beginning, so how the story essentially is going to lay it out. So I have my point A and my point Z. The thing is too, the vibes I've been getting as I work through my series is that this is a multiple book series. So it's not 1 or 2 books, it's at least 3, because of the problems that the characters face, the fact that there's multiple layers before they get to the massive problem, which is still woven in through the entire series, but it takes a while for them to actually deal with it, and the fact the main character begins as kind of like this specific kind of person, and how the person she's going to end up being is still similar to who she was before, but it's more in the sense that she's ready to finally take on the issues that are required in the book. Alright, so from the things that happened to her at the beginning of the story to the things that she ends up dealing with because of other characters kind of weaving it into their lives, some of the things that other characters are doing, being motivated to do, she gets involved. Not just because it furthers the story, but because it furthers the other characters' story in ways that parallel things that have happened previous. Because all the characters, at least some of the characters, I've tried my best to not make it entirely about the main character, making her obviously the character that we see throughout the entire story, because obviously her role is very important and there's a reason why she's the main character. But the reality is, her life is not the only life in the story that matters. But that came from a bunch of the things that happened to the characters at the beginning, which stem from the motivations and just the realistic ideas that would come from the situations and from the other characters. Another thing I did was I tried to write a brief story about the two main characters, the brother and the sister, so I understood kind of where they were before the events of the book started. Now, I don't necessarily understand how they got there. I understand why they're there to an extent in reference to their motivation as to why they're there at that time, but I don't understand what led them to the character. I don't understand what led them to that point, right? So I'm still working on it. But for Nano, I think that's enough. So another thing I did was I expanded on my magic system. I won't explain how, because I like to keep my magic system for the most under wraps, because I don't want my ideas being taken, as much as most people probably wouldn't care, but I care. I don't want to put too much out there on the internet. But I did do a little bit in reference to thinking about, okay, so magic is at this point. How do I get from magic from this point to this point in my system? And I think I did a pretty decent job. Still don't have all the details figured out. There's still a lot of things about the magic system that I personally am questioning. But for Nano, it's good enough. I also named all my characters because I'm not the kind of person who likes writing character 1, character 2. Because I get really confused. So if I have a name and I can use that name to label who is who, then at least I can organize it in my head. But the problem is, now that my characters have grown and developed since I started this back in September, I have to rename some of them, and it's kind of annoying. So I'm thinking maybe what I'll do is I'll just keep the names as is for now, and then when I go to finish and completely try to understand them, their history, you know, what they do throughout the books and all that, I'll start trying to get an inkling as to who they are, who they're supposed to become, and their fates. Then maybe I'll be able to go back and rename them, because names are very important to me. I actually wrote all of my ideas on cue cards. So what I did was I organized the cue cards based on colors. I have 2 kinds of blue, 1 pink, an orange, a yellowish orange, and then a green. And each represents one kind of category in relation to writing. So I've got pink plot. I honestly have to go back and look at my cards, and my cards are everywhere. Like, some of them actually fell down underneath my desk, so I've got to find those. But the cue cards really helped because they helped me lay out, like, my issues and the problems I was having and all the things I had to change about my story, and that just made things 10 times easier because it actually helped me. And the cue cards helped a lot, because one example is I laid out all my pink cue cards, because my pink cue cards are my plot cards. And I put my cue cards out to figure out look at the plot, and realized when I looked at this one plot point, I was like, okay, like, this does work in relation to the plot, but is this really where I want the story to go? Because I'd been questioning it. I'd been looking at the cards going, this story is going down a road I don't like. So I was looking at the cards and realized that they'd gone down this road because it stemmed from this one decision, and I'm going, but this is not the way I want my story to go. My story and my world will look flat, a little boring. I want to be able to explore it a little bit more so that people can understand why things are the way they are in my story, while also understanding that this book is not supposed to fix every flaw in the world. So I was able to kind of ditch it, and it was great. Another thing I did prepare was I got my homework done this past week for this coming week, So I have this weekend to think about Nano a little bit more, to make this video so I can talk to you guys about Nano, to write my blog post about Nano, and prepare a little bit in the week coming, because I didn't win last year with Nano, and to me winning isn't the entire point of it, but the reality is winning is great. So this next one's a little weird. I spent most of October not working on my Nano project. It's a tiny bit of a contradiction because I spent a lot of time brainstorming. I'm always brainstorming. I'm always open to new ideas 24/7. Sometimes I'm walking somewhere and I just think of this one thing and I realize that it's the thing I've been waiting. It's the thing that I've needed for my story. The problem is I can't be spending 24/7 on my books all the time. I have this vlog. I have a blog. I have school assignments. I draw. I write other stuff. I also work a little bit, so it's like I don't have time to be constantly like working on everything at once. And I wanted to spend some time away from my project to try to hype me up a little bit to finally getting down to writing it. I also wanted to try and work on a set of short stories that I wanted to write that take place before my Nano project and the books that follow my Nano project. The problem is when I got to Baron, the main character's father, trying to talk about how he got the thing that he has, which is really important and is in the story, but I'm not, like I said, I don't want to spoil too much. I realized that there was enough content and potential for one book. For this short story to turn into one novel, and I'm going, great. And then, as I was I wrote a little bit of his story, and as I was writing it, I went, there's enough for there to be duology. The first book taking place when he's young, the second book taking place probably about 10 or 15 years later. So it's like, I gotta put this project aside. I'll get too worked up on it. I'll just get like whisked away. So the last thing I did was I wrote a blog post that's actually coming out this week about my project, about some of the stuff that I went through to get it to where it is, and just generally what it's about and all that stuff. As I said before, I'll link my website / blog in the description below so you guys can click the link. If you have a WordPress account, you can follow me and you'll get an immediate email notification when I post a new post. Or if you just want to be all like, I still want to subscribe even though like I have no WordPress account, I'm pretty sure you can subscribe with your email. So just go on the website and there is a notification to the side that'll allow you to do that. So that's the stuff that I did to prepare myself for Nano. Just gonna mention this one more time if you guys missed it at the beginning. The next month will literally just be writing vlogs because I need to make sure that I have enough time for Nano. I still have a blog I have to write. I have an assignment I have to do for my classes. I have my job and 1667 words a day. Plus I draw and need time to mentally calm myself down. So that's what's going to be on the agenda for the next 4 weeks. Please stick around with that. Don't forget to subscribe and comment if you liked this video and want to see more videos from me. If you guys want to talk about your Nano projects, please do in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, so I can't wait to see you guys next week for our first Nano video. Oh, yay! See you guys next week!